Live from Gulfstream Park in South Florida, this is a special edition of Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
It is now Racing Across America time, live from Gulfstream Park. We just wrapped up the Handicappers Report, but we are thrilled to be down here, certainly, obviously, live from the Gulfstream Park paddock, treated very well by the Gulfstream Park TV team. And as we kick off Racing Across America, live guest, happy to be joined by our friend Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds. Terry, good morning.
Awesome to be here, and I just want to say, I don't think it's very fair they send you down here every year. You trudge down here. I see it at the races. You're trudging around. So at some point they got to stop sending you down here. But I'm not sure when that's going to be. But I'd say to your boss, come on, give him a break. Keep him up in Albany in February.
He wasn't the only person. It's funny. Whenever we come down here, I run into a bunch of snowbirds from the Albany, Saratoga area. And a couple of them said, "Hey, they let you out of Albany?" Yeah, like I said, they were twisting my arm there. Yeah. And I said, Tuesday and Wednesday it was 60 degrees. But it's way nicer down here.
It is.
60 is nice up there in February, but it is very nice down here. And you guys have kind of a fun weekend down here, but also at some various venues. And I wanted to touch on a lot of that. You and I talked yesterday. Giant Game was entered in one of the stakes races here. But you said he's going to go over to Tampa, hopped on the van and headed to Tampa for a race this afternoon. So I'll let folks kind of be aware of that. And the game plan is going to be even over at Tampa. That was the game plan for here. But you're going to try a little turf with him. And I pulled up a replay going back last summer, July. We're going to watch the Cornhusker. Giant Game's going to be the number one horse for Dale Romans in West Point. But talk a little bit about the turf try over at Tampa today.
It's been in the back of our mind, Seth, for a while. But, we obviously won the Cornhusker, and we tried him in the Whitney and, a couple spots. Yeah. And he seems to be just a cut below the really good horses. So we're just trying something different. I mean, if he takes to it, I think he's going to be, real tough up there. I know Chad's got an import, right, first time in the U.S., and they're always very, very tough. But I think he'll give a good account of himself. I really do. I hope he likes the turf because obviously that'll open up a bunch of opportunities for us.
Yeah, we'll see him up at Saratoga, maybe on the grass this season. That'd be fun. Certainly, he's one of those horses, you say a cut below, but he's one of those horses when you have a partnership, you love to have him.
Absolutely.
He's out there. He's always trying and picking up some big races here and there. It's got to be fun for the partners.
Actually, he's one of the three foals of Giants Causeway's last crop. So, oftentimes when the stallions die or they're exported, inevitably they'll come up with a good horse. So we're hoping that, albeit a little bit late, that he steps forward.
Yeah, so that's this afternoon at Tampa. But let's go tomorrow right here at Gulfstream Park. You have a runner in the Colonel Liam in Cagino. Cagino, a couple of starts so far in the career, broke the maiden in the debut in November. We're going to take a look at the middle of January race right here at Gulfstream. Abrumar is going to be the number 11 and win. He's back tomorrow in the Colonel Liam as well. Cagino is the number 6. Only the second career start. And I always say sometimes from a maiden moving into the next condition, they take a start or two to figure it out. So I think off the second career start, getting a nice second place finish, moving up a condition, now trying some stakes company. He's very intriguing. What are you looking for Cagino and the Colonel Liam?
Yeah, obviously all the Sharpies say that jump, right? That's the hardest jump in our game. Yeah. And inevitably it comes true except for the very, very good horses. Or if you run in your second spot and you find a softer field. But that was a good group of horses in the middle of January. So it's a very good betting race. And I'm sure they're, Gulfstream, they like to have those kind of those types of races on a big card day like they have tomorrow.
And I always say it. If people watch me in the afternoon, they know I talk about the 3-year-olds on the turf all the time. And we'll talk about one of yours from last year and a few. But to me, this is a really fun subdivision because it starts in January and it goes to the end of the year down here at Gulfstream, again with the Tropical Park Derby and races like that. But it seems like every venue throughout the year has a 3-year-old turf race. And I just think if you have a nice 3-year-old turfer, you have all kinds of opportunities.
I mean, obviously, everybody's thinking about the 3-year-old dirt horses, right? Everybody's thinking of First Saturday of May and the Triple Crown and all that. But yeah, those horses, when you go to them, obviously you don't really pay the kind of premium that you do at the sales for like a turf pedigree, but they're a lot of fun and they stay around. They seem to stay around longer, and you know, especially now. Like vis-a-vis 10 years ago, there are a lot more spots. So yeah, we've increased our focus on those kind of horses to get our hands on them.
Yeah, like I said, to me, the subdivision is just a lot of fun. Every year in and year out, you can kind of follow it all year long, parse it out up at Saratoga National Museum and Hall of Fame, and a lot of fun races to follow. All right, wanted to take a look also. This is kind of interesting. Again, you have some runners here this weekend in Florida, but you have a runner coming up in New York tomorrow as well. Slider will be in the Gotham. I pulled up interesting career when you look at the resume. I pulled up the replay going back to last October of the Speakeasy. Slider is going to be the number 2 horse, and as people will note, this is on the turf. So there's a couple of turf starts. There's 3 dirt starts. He was in the San Vicente last time at Santa Anita and ran 3rd in his 3-year-old debut. But you have John Sadler training out in Southern California. Talk a little bit about Slider, the turf and dirt in the career, and why'd you elect to give a shot in New York tomorrow?
Well, you're talking about the Speakeasy. I was at a tailgate up at West Point, and we were all watching the iPad. And as he went into the far turn, he was getting out. Obviously, you're going to see that on the video. So I'm not sure that I was real confident he was going to get to the winner's circle at the top of the stretch. But he kind of straightened himself out. I think he's a very cool horse. You know, I obviously, you know, he's a Jimmy Creed. I'm not sure he's a 1.25 mile horse, but you know, out in California, he's had to run every jump. So I think tomorrow he's going to get a shot to relax. I think he'll be very forwardly placed, and I like the fact that they're probably going to go 23-46 and change. And so I think there again, that's a very, very good race. I'm sure the people. But Naira, they love to see a big stake like that with like a bunch of horses that are looking to take the step forward.
That's what I said. I talked to Dave Grenig yesterday, and I said down here with horses like Locked and Dornock, they already kind of have a resume that they'll solidify with good performances tomorrow. Yeah. This field are horses who are looking to make that step up into the next class. And I think it is kind of a fun field. Slider is one of those that I think is very intriguing. Why the election to come to New York, though?
I mean, let's face it. You're out in California. You're running against a bunch of Bavard horses. It's tough, and you just try to you try to bob and weave, if you will.
There is no Nisos in here.
There is, but we're running against him on Sunday, so I appreciate that comment. But you know, just trying something different. That's all. And obviously, like it's not that big of a deal to fly across country anymore, and a very efficient process. And who knows? Maybe he just, he jumps up and he gets the mile, and all of a sudden, we're looking at a bunch of different options. So that's all. But out there, they're very short fields, especially the 3-year-old colt races. So you're in against the very cream of the crop. You talked about it. All these horses here, right? There'll be 1 or 2 that steps forward, right? But it's a very compact and it's a very tightly knit group of 13 in the Gotham.
And Dave Grenig made the point as well. He said, are there Derby horses in here? I don't know. And you kind of alluded to it. Will this horse be a 1.25 mile horse, Slider? But like Grenig said, these are the kind that may wind up in the Pat Day or the Woody Stevens going down the road. So it's a fun race, and Slider certainly looks like a nice component to that. You alluded to it, so let's talk a little Scatify. He'll go in the San Felipe, which again was scheduled for tomorrow on the big cap card, but with some anticipated weather. They've been snake bitten out in Southern California this this season. But with anticipated weather tonight into tomorrow, they moved that card to Sunday. Scatify will be facing Nisos in the San Felipe. What are your thoughts on Scatify?
Well, we'll be second choice, right? We just got nipped at the wire in the Lewis. We were third. Ninos, obviously, he really separated himself, and he's at the very top of the charts of the 3-year-olds. It seemed like. Obviously, he's not going to run in the Derby, just like all those Baffert colts. So, look, we're just in it. We drew the rail last time. We were on the outside, and the jock had to use him a little bit to get position. He's on the lead, and the other Baffert horse didn't leave us alone on the lead. He was at our throat lats the entire time. And he fought on, and he was, could have been second. He wasn't going to beat the winner that day. But, right, you always say, Alan Jerkins, he always told that story. If you're only afraid of one, you need to run.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that I talked to Dale Romans, we're good buddies, and we always talking about what the old timers would say. So that's one of the things that you think about. Right, it's a horse race. They all have to traverse a mile and a 16th. So, obviously, if Ninos runs his race and he brings his game, we're not going to beat him. I just hope we're second.
But you make a great point as an owner. If you're sitting on the sidelines and you watch the race and the horse you were afraid of that doesn't have his day, you're kind of like, oh, why didn't we go with? So yeah,
happens a lot.
Yeah. Want to talk also coming up this weekend here at Gulfstream Park. You're going to debut Sedona. We're going to watch the excitement up at Saratoga. $2 million purchase, and it's a full sibling to one of your very nice horses, First Captain. So talk a little bit about Sedona picking this one up in Saratoga and what you're expecting in the maiden special on Sunday. Race 7 on Sunday here at Gulfstream.
Yeah, we put a partnership up there. Chris Larson, who's a New York breeder that we got into the game together about 20 years ago. Really a great guy, and he took a leg of her. And the Woodford partnership, the Farishes took a piece. Bobby Flay stayed in, and so
Bobby Flay is out of America, so
right. So he bred the filly,
yeah.
And so. We were surprised when Chug was saying last summer, she had a shot to run like in June before, in July before we went to Saratoga. She came out with a little issue, a little flake in an ankle. Obviously, she's a filly that we think has a world of potential, and we gave her all the time. Yeah. So, going 7/8, I think with a lot of trainers, you kind of raise your eyebrow. Not with Chug. I think. If you look at First Captain's race, he went 7/8 in his first start. Looked like he was beaten at the top of the stretch, and then he just extended and he got up right in the shadow of the wire. So I think we're probably going to see the same type. She's going to gather herself, and I think she's going to come running. I don't know if she's going to get there, but she should gallop out great, and that'll set us up for a good spring and fall with a very, very nice filly.
Yeah, always fun to get started with horses like this, and always fun to see you guys making some fireworks happen up at Saratoga. I have seen you over the year. Well, I mean, with Flightline, obviously, up at Saratoga, but I've seen you over the years kind of working the crowd a little bit as you're pulling some partners in maybe as the things are kind of lighting up there. So it'll be fun to watch Sedona on Sunday. Another horse I wanted an update on, and I alluded to this one earlier, a 3-year-old on the turf from last year. And I'm going to pull up one of those races. We're going to take a look at the Hill Prince going back to November. Integration. The number 3 horse here. This made Integration 3 for 3, broke the maiden at Colonial Downs in August. We had you on shortly after that up in Saratoga. We talked about that win, and you were heading into the Virginia Derby. You win that. You win the Hill Prince. And I maybe should have pulled up the Pegasus World Cup turf from down here, the 4-year-old debut, because I thought there was a trip in there that I thought the horse was better than the performance. But talk a little bit about Integration last year, the 3-year-old season, that 4-year-old debut in the Pegasus turf, and what's on the agenda next for Integration.
Yeah, so he's moved right along. That was a tough day. I'm not saying we're going to beat the winner, that beautiful filly. She showed up that day, the Aidan O'Brien filly. I think we're second or third. We ended up 5th, but would we get beat like a length and 3/4, whatever it was? So, he showed up. And that's the thing as an owner. Yes, you always want to be there. But when you look at it and you're right, you're realistic and you try to look at it with an unbiased eye, which is very difficult. He ran a very good race that day. So I love the fact that he took the step forward against older horses, right? Because it's one thing, to beat up on 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
When you turn 4, now all of a sudden you got those old, the grizzled veterans that are very, very talented. So we're probably going to run them in the Grade 1 at Keeneland. A fallback race is the Grade 1 on Derby Day, and then we have several different options across the summer months. So it's good, as you said. It's really good. Obviously, everybody wants to have those horses that you're pointing for the Whitney, but there are plenty of really good turf races, especially at Saratoga. Yeah. So he's got a great pedigree. Really, really seems to have turned the corner from 3 to 4. So he's a horse that kind of gets you up in the morning and out of bed and get to work.
And it was an interesting start to the career for you guys and for Shug to get that debut victory at Colonial and go from there to the Virginia Derby. That was kind of an interesting start to the career as well.
I thought the same thing. Yeah. I was a little shocked when we got when I saw Shug calling. He said, "I just put integration in the Virginia Derby." I was like, what am I going to say? That's the way we roll with our trainers, right? But it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
No, it worked out. It was fabulous. Like I say, it's fun to have you in up at Saratoga talking a little bit about that debut victory and looking forward to the Virginia Derby, which he won. So I'm looking forward to him coming back now and getting that 4-year-old career started in fine fashion. We talked a little bit about Sedona, some of your other horses here. Folks are looking at the PPs. They're seeing those Ocala sales. We mentioned up at Saratoga. We're kind of kicking into that 2-year-old sales season, and I know you guys at West Point are big players on the auction side of things. So have you been playing so far? You're looking at the catalogs. What's the game plan on the sales season?
Yeah, just like every other year, we're going to try to go find value, but sometimes like you can't always find value. Sometimes sometimes you're going to have to pay a premium, and I'd like to think that over the course of building a portfolio, you're going to have some at a premium that you're going to pay. You're going to some at a discount, and some you're going to get. So at the price that you really think they're worth. But look, you can pay a lot of money for horses. They don't work out. You can pay a little bit of money. You're just looking for horses that can step up and step forward. And it's a tough game because those 2-year-old consigners, every year they get better and better. And so we've got to work and we do work to try to stay abreast, right? What guys are getting so good, what people are getting so good that it's tougher and tougher to buy from. And so all those things kind of work. And it's a big puzzle. We don't get too stressed about it because at the end of the day, you just have to step into the ring and you got to bid and you got to buy horses and then see how they turn out. So we used to kind of get tense and go down and always just right now. Obviously, we're serious about it, but all in all, we know that a big part of it afterwards, after we buy them, is just staying lucky and trying to stay away from spots that you're going to incur, or you're going to be in a spot where you're not lucky, and you're going to put them in the right hands. So it's a crapshoot, right? But we love our system. We're trying every year to get better and better, and the partners support us. So, we're about horses and we're about partners. And that's it.
And shows with Sedona and the time it pays when you're able to have a little patience. Typically, when owners are patient with horses, it pays off nicely, and that's always important as well. But as you were talking, you got me to thinking. I don't know if I've ever asked anybody who's a real auction player. But do you have to, because you walk around the sales and you got the catalog and you have your consultants or whatnot, this one, do you have to, on the day of the night of the auction, just mentally decide, like, we aren't going to get into that auction frenzy, which I think is probably tough when you want one, and that it starts going back and forth. But you have to mentally kind of, okay, we don't want to get caught up in craziness too much.
Well, I'd like to think I do, but I don't. I mean, come on. But the key is, and I hope Tommy Bellhouse is looking at his house in Saratoga, because I buy them. I sign the ticket, then I give it to Tommy, and I let he's got to syndicate. So I usually can tell. Because I don't know. Did I pay? Did I go too far? With Tommy's body language, I can tell very quickly. I probably paid a little bit too much for this horse, just because of his the reaction I get from him. But we've been together almost 20 years, and just a great guy and a great asset to the business.
Yeah.
I know he's become very active in Saratoga, and he just became a member of NYTHA, and so yes, it's about the horses, it's about the partners, it's also about a great team, and being around people that you respect and you love, and you enjoy working with. And so when you put all those together, I mean, to be in this game and to be able to participate at the levels that we try to participate is, it really stops you in your tracks on a very regular basis. It does for me, because I just turned 60 years old. I started in this business when I was 27, and although the years have gone by quickly, I wouldn't trade any year for anything.
Yeah, we've been talking to you guys for years and years, and it's been kind of fun to see you move level to level to level, and now at the top of the game. And I always tell you, you guys have a great website, one of the better partnership websites, and people want to visit.
It's westpointtb.com.
West Point. I knew there were initials in there. westpointtb.com, but it keeps you up to date.
Everybody thinks that's Tom Bellhouse. It's not. It's Thoroughbreds. Thoroughbreds.
But it keeps you up on what's coming up and results and whatnot, and gives you a little info if you're interested in maybe participating in the game, and all the good info. So folks should visit the website as well. Terry, appreciate the visit this morning. Again, good luck coming up this weekend with the various runners and going forward, and we'll talk again.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, again, we caught up with Dave Grenig and went through some of the stakes action with Dave for tomorrow. So when we come back, we'll talk to Dave Grenig and get some of his stakes ideas. Stay tuned. All of that when Racing Across America continues.
And they're off in the Pegasus World Cup. They're off in the Fountain of Youth Stakes. And they're off in the Curlin Florida Derby. Forte wins. White Arboreal almost home.
And Nyquist is still unbeaten. Orb and John Velasquez have won the Florida Derby.
Barbaro wins.
And there you have it. Northern Dancer will be the winner of the Florida Derby.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Joined now by our friend Dave Grenig, down from New York to cover the big day, Fountain of Youth Day here, and then next week on to Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, well, Marty McGee retired, so I'm sort of filling in.
Tampa, one of my favorite tracks. I haven't been there in a while, but we're over on the East Coast today. We'll talk a little bit about that and also get some thoughts on this afternoon's Gotham, or Saturday afternoon's Gotham. But let's take a look at some of the action here at Gulfstream on Saturday afternoon. Nice big loaded stakes card. We'll kick things off talking a little bit about the Colonel Liam, 3-year-olds on the turf. I talk about it all the time on my show. I love this subdivision of 3-year-olds on the turf. I think it's a lot of fun with a lot of action at virtually every venue around the country all year long. Nice little field in here. Silent Heart for Brian Lynch looks interesting, coming in off an optional claimer allowance win. Cagino for West Point and Shug. Triple Espresso for Todd Pletcher. What are your thoughts on the Colonel Liam?
I don't think there's a better bred horse on the card than number 7, Royal Majesty. This is a colt by Frankel out of the Grade 1 winning mare, Crown Queen. who's related to Royal Delta and Delta Prince. And I think this colt is bred and has the potential to be something really special here. The first race here in the States wasn't very fast race, but I just think this is pure Bill Mott.
48-1 for the opening half mile. They swing to the forward turn. Coinvest has the lead by a neck. Zapata's up alongside in second, held up between horses Royal Majesty. Down at the inside, it's Mospresso looking for room behind them is Dilger. At the rail goes Linesman, out wide as Pet Mad as they race to the top of the stretch. Plenty of hopes here. Zapata comes away with the lead. Coinvest fights right back toward the inside. Off cover, looking for room. Mospresso down the center. Royal Majesty. There's an eighth of a mile to go. On the inside, it's Coinvest who's still in front. Royal Majesty runs at him on the outside. Royal Majesty tries to catch Coinvest. Royal Majesty's in time.
But I just think this is pure Bill Mott. Get him a start, and then they're supposed to improve. Now, in my conversations with Bill, he thinks this horse will be better when we get longer, and that may very well be the case. And this is a horse I'm interested in following all the way through. But I liked his closing kick that day, and I think there'll be pace going a mile. The one thing about these horses that want to go further, that have closing kicks, is it's more effective really going shorter. So the fact that he's backing up to a mile 16th, I think there'll be plenty of speed in here. And I'm just interested to see this horse in his second start.
Junior Alvarado on board for Bill Mott. I talked to Junior Alvarado a little bit earlier about his win on Senior Buscador, and you're a New York guy. Mott and Alvarado, New York as well. Mott, now obviously not Senior Buscador, but Alvarado. It's fun to see Junior get the $20 million Saudi win.
Yeah, that was really cool for him to get that victory. That horse has been knocking on the door in some big spots. Ran very well in the Cigar Mile when he was second. Ran a couple good races in California on speed favoring racetracks with no real chance, and it was really cool to see him get up and win that race.
Also on the card on Saturday, the Canadian Turf, mile and a 16th, as the name suggests, on the grass. Emmanuel for Todd Fletcher comes in as the defending champion, but hasn't been seen since the 4-star Dave at Saratoga. A Tone is a little bit interesting, maybe for Mike Maker. Giant Game for West Point and Dale Romans popping over and trying the turf is intriguing to me. Your thoughts on the Canadian Turf?
Yeah, I'm interested to see Emmanuel, 5-year-old debut. He did, as you said, he won this race last year.
Emmanuel looking to follow somebody while angling for a run. Then Dakota Gold ahead of Shadow Sphinx and Good Governance. Back to the outside in Fort Washington, and at the back is in California Frolic, and up front is Safe Conduct taken on by Steady On. Steady On to Chevenek on top. Super Dormy is second. Castellano, he has his hands full of Emmanuel, but he's got no place to go yet. 3/4, 1:11-2. Safe Conduct battles back inside to take the lead. Now racetrack for Emmanuel. Meanwhile, Steady On got the jump on him. Steady On is in front. Emmanuel hitting high gear. Final 16th of a mile, and here comes Emmanuel down the center, getting up to win it. Second is Steady On. Fort Washington rolled home for third. Dakota Gold is fourth in 1:40 and 1.
Last year he did have a prep, but he won that prep off the layoff, and so he can fire fresh. He won the Tampa Bay Stakes, and then he came here for the for the Canadian Turf and got the job done. There hasn't been seen since the 4-star Dave, where he was fifth to Casa Cree. That was a grade 1 race. Before that, he won the Poker as sort of a substitute for Annapolis, who wound up running in the 4-star Dave. I like Emmanuel off the shelf. Smoking Tea is another one coming in off the shelf for Shug, who I think is very talented, although he hasn't run well at Gulfstream. So that's my one concern for that horse. And then there's a horse for Chad Brown, also coming in off a layoff that hasn't been fast enough yet, but as most of Chad's horses do, they improve with age and time. And this horse, Turf King, is coming in off a win in the Marine Stakes at Woodbine. I think that's like last July, so it's almost it's a long time for him.
One Bay Hemingway shows the way, turns in front, off the track, Kalko Kaipu, and up the inside, coming through is Turf King, right up the rail. Turf King bursting to join Kalko Kaipu, who's in front, and then stay on a good side. Turf King coming up on the inside, and Kalko Kaipu will battle out the Marine Stakes, and it's Turf King going to the front. Turf King on the inside from Kalko Kaipu, and it is Turf King who wins the Marine.
All right, Fountain of Youth, and this is a really intriguing addition. Before we get into it, let me ask your opinion on the 3-year-old side of things so far. Certainly Timberlake last week impressed. Other than that, it's been, Fierceness was certainly a disappointment on his return. Mystic Dan, to me, is the really intriguing horse. I'm going to be intrigued to see if he can follow up what we saw in the Arkansas race a few weeks ago, that would put him in an interesting spot. But your thoughts on the 3-year-olds at this point?
Well, I was very impressed with Sierra Leone's race in Louisiana. What a funky track that was. It got wetter without rain. It got wetter as the day went on, and I just loved his closing kick to get up. He's still a little bit green. I think he's one that would benefit from more racing, but he's probably just going to have the one race coming out, one more race in the Bluegrass Stakes. But look, he showed himself in the Remsen last year when he was second. One of the only horses that closed on a speed favoring track. He was widest of all. He got to the lead, kind of got to playing around a little bit. Well, or Dornoch was just better and on the better part of the track and came back and beat him. But to carry that momentum from that race and show himself again, in the Risen Star, I thought was really good. So we'll see him in the Bluegrass. I thought Chad's other horse, Domestic Product, off a bad performance in the Rebson, ran a very good second here in the Holy Bull to Hades, where Fierceness was third. Fierceness to me is kind of the type of horse that looks like, at least what he looks at what we've seen so far, is things need to go his way. He can't have any adversity, no straws in his path, and in a race like the Kentucky Derby, that ain't happening. So I'm not sure where he belongs, to be honest with you. But I think this weekend's an interesting race we're going to have to talk about, and even moving forward, some of these other preps.
Yeah, Fierceness is interesting. Everybody kind of agrees. At least that's what it seems like so far. He has to have things go his way, and then you say, oh, what's he aiming for? 20 horses in the Kentucky Derby.
Right, exactly.
All right, let's take a look at the Fountain of Youth on Saturday afternoon. This is a fun field, and clearly there's a couple of horses in here that can stamp themselves off what they've done already so far. The aforementioned Dornoch out of that potent Remsen. Locked, certainly a little bit disappointing, running third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but he is going to take a lot of attention. There's some others in here that are maybe a little bit intriguing, including Speakeasy from Todd Pletcher. They were entered on Friday, but they're electing to take their shot in the Fountain of Youth. Your thoughts in the big race on Saturday?
Look, I think Dornoch's the real deal, and he's a full brother to Mage. He hasn't run any bad races, and I thought he was very good in the Remsen. That being said, I don't know that I like him on Saturday. I think this is he's only had 5 breezes since. I think he's using this race to get to the next one, and then to get to the next one. And I think while he'll run well, I don't know that he's as prepped. I know Locked missed a race that he was scheduled to run in, but he was prepared to have run in that race, and he was ready to run. Got a little setback, missed the work, missed that race at Tampa, and now he's gotten back on the beam again. I just think for this particular day, I think he's the one that you want. He won the Breeders' Futurity last year.
Here comes Locked, swinging wide with Northern Flame, a quarter mile to go. The Wine Steward with Locked moving up on the outside, and Northern Flame in between that pair. Top of the short stretch, here is Locked. Locked racing by on the outside for the lead. The Wine Steward is responding to the inside. Generous Tipper goes to third. The Wine Steward responding to the challenge so far. Here's Locked right alongside. Locked. The Wine Steward, it is Locked.
He beat a horse called Drumroll Please, that sort of Dornoch in the Remsen. So I just think that Locked has more foundation, even though he did miss a little bit of time in that work in that race at Tampa with the fever.
All right, and let's move on now to the 3-year-old race in New York. Again, in Florida, I think there's a couple of already on the resume have enough to a win added or a good performance added propels them. But I think in New York, we're looking for some horses to kind of maybe step it up and step into it, being more lightly raced. Deterministic, one of those from Christophe Clement, second-time starter. Eliminate off the maiden special win for Todd Pletcher. Connate for Todd Pletcher has shown a little bit of ability, but comes in off a 5th place finish in the Withers. Linda Rice has El Grande O's, maybe a little bit interesting in here, but your thoughts in the Gotham?
Well, there's plenty of buzz around Just a Touch, debut winner at Fairgrounds on January 27th.
And Just a Touch on even terms with Silver Halo as they come toward the quarter pole. Right there, Capital Connection, who slid to the 3-path. Evan Unearth on the 4 outside. And Gun Party looks to engage with the rail just a touch. And Silver Halo in the final quarter of a mile. Half mile, 46.10 seconds for Florent Giroux, this newcomer. It's just a touch who's pulled clear from Silver Halo. Gun Party's now second with Capital Connection. Evan Unearth is 1 pace now. They're close to home. It's just a touch. Just a touch at 1-2. Just a touch. A first out victory by 4.
Seventh, it was a 3-quarter, 6 furlong race. Now he's stretching out to a mile, but I've been hearing nothing but positive things about Just a Touch. And I know Brad Cox has 4 in here, but if he only had to come with 1, I think this would be the one to come with. And that's, even though he's got a stakes winner in Bergen and Eric Cavitt and Lightline in here also, but this horse is trying to emulate what his sire did, Justify, who came out with an impressive maiden win with a much bigger figure, albeit, and then went on to win the Triple Crown and now on the Hall of Fame ballot. I'm not saying this is another Justify, but I'm interested to see how he performs, but I can't take him as far as a betting angle. I can't take him at a short price in a 13-horse field, new track, everything's new. Interesting horse to me. Again, not so much Derby horse, but just an interesting horse to me in this race is Maximus Meridius on the inside there for Butch Reed, who's had a really run of success shipping from horses from Parks to New York. He's 2 for 3. I know they were disappointed when he got beat in the A other than in December at Parks, but that race turned out to be better than I think even Butch Reed thought. Frankie's Empire, who won that race, came back and won the Swale, and he's in the Fountain of Youth on Saturday also. But the fact that he won the Swale was, pretty much stamped him as it's a legitimate loss, I guess you'd say. He came back and won nicely.
As they head through the turn, Maximus Meridius now takes the lead. He is opening up. Kelly's Kids in second. Going backwards there is Ruby's Flash. Twilight Dancer making his move. Sharp Tones also in it with a shot. Capo under a drive. Bali Amore, nothing from Rumaway yet. The half 46 into. At the top of the stretch, Maximus Meridius going wide, moving well. Twilight Dancer making up some ground. Bali Amore also in it with a shot. It's Maximus Meridius and Michael Sanchez kicking clear here. Running on gamely, Bali Amore, Twilight Dancer, Sharp Tones with a 16th left to go. Maximus Meridius. And Maximus Meridius going to get the win, followed by Bali Amore, Twilight Dancer, and Sharp Tones 4th.
I think he's handled the muddy track, as did Just a Touch. And there's call for rain on Saturday in downstate New York. And I think I just don't want to pick the favorite in here. Maximus Meridius has been 3-2 or shorter in his 3 races. He'll be bigger than that on Saturday. I just thought he was worth a look for a trainer that's doing really well with the shippers.
And you mentioned Butch Reed with the Park Shippers. I'll just add, doing the handicapping show in the afternoons for the past 2 months, Park Shippers overall have done very well in New York.
Yeah, they have. These guys are picking out the right spots. And there's a few Park Shippers on the card on Saturday. But this is a hodgepodge race where I think there could be some talented horses in here. Do I think there's Derby horses, legit Derby horses in here? I don't know. The Gotham hasn't been. It's been 50 years, since the Gotham produced anything for the Derby. I think it's a fun race. I think it's a race that you'll see horses go in different directions. Pat Day Mile, Woody Stevens, Alan Jerkins in the summertime. Maybe someone will show themselves as a Derby horse here. And obviously the horse that wins it gets the points to get in, but it just hasn't been a productive Derby preference. But it is a fun race.
Absolutely. Nice big field. And I think it is a fun, competitive race. Dave, appreciate it. Good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Seth.
There's no better place to enjoy horse racing action than the Capital OTB Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, just minutes off of I-90. The Clubhouse Racebook features over 200 flat-screen TVs, bringing you racing action from across the country, plus all the major sporting events. Racing info, tip sheets, promotions and events, track odds, plenty of parking, and a full bar and restaurant. Stop by today. Capital OTB's Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany.
Gulfstream Park's championship meet brings world-class thoroughbred racing to South Florida each winter, and it's a prime reason to offer the best turf racing possible. Having the best surfaces is the key to offering a superior racing product. We are committed to attracting the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys to run over our exceptional course. Gulfstream Park's new turf course will be unveiled this December.
Welcome back again. Seth Merrow live from Gulfstream Park as we wrap up Racing Across America on this Friday morning. Hopefully you had just as much fun as we did. Thanks again to Dave Grenick from the Daily Racing Forum for a little preview of some of the stakes action. And certainly thanks to Terry Finley for sitting in live this morning on the set. And good luck to the West Point team on their entrance here at Gulfstream and beyond this weekend also. I'm going to wrap it up. Do let me remind you, I have had it verified with the early post time here at Gulfstream tomorrow, 11:15 post time tomorrow at Gulfstream. Our branches will all be opening at 10:30, so that includes the clubhouse racebook. And don't forget, tomorrow at the racebook, there is the $100 Play the Board challenge for a little extra fun. Not just the Fountain of Youth card to have some fun, but you have the Play the Board contest as well. Tomorrow, clubhouse racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. But all the branches will be opening at 10:30 with the early post on the big day at Gulfstream. Don't forget Gulfstream Sunday, mandatory in the Rainbow Six. Mark that on your calendar as well. Big cap for tomorrow at Santa Anita with weather has been moved to Sunday, the big cap card. That'll include Nisos in the San Felipe. Preakness Future Wager this weekend, that closes tomorrow at 8. So keep that in mind. The Preakness Future Wager closes Saturday at 8, if you're thinking that sounds like fun. So, again, make that note if that is of interest to you. But I'll wrap it up tomorrow morning again with the early post time here at Gulfstream Park. We will start here on the network at 8 a.m. for the Handicappers Report. I'll be joined by Steve Bick for the Handicappers Report, and then Racing Across America a little later on. I said earlier this morning we had taped some interviews yesterday, and I wasn't sure what we were going to have time to plug in today and what would be moved to tomorrow. But tomorrow we taped some Tyler Gaffleone, Junior Alvarado. We talked about Senior Buscador in the Saudi Cup, and Rohan Crichton has a Real Macho, interesting runner in the Fountain of Youth tomorrow. So we have all of those scheduled, and we'll probably pick up a couple of more as we roam around this afternoon. So it should be a fun edition of Racing Across America tomorrow on Fountain of Youth Day. Once again, thanks to the OTB team right here, Dan Hayes helping out here on the technical side. And of course, Shannon Donovan from marketing has been sitting in as well, and up in the studio, Dino and Anthony taking care of things up in Albany. So thanks to them down here in Gulfstream. We're always happy to have Dennis running the camera for us. Does a great job. Ben and the crew upstairs, Dave Joseph in the press office. They're always very accommodating and great hospitality. And we're looking forward to working with the team again tomorrow, 8 a.m. for the Handicappers Report, and right after that will be Racing Across America on Fountain of Youth Day. So have a great afternoon today of racing. Cash some tickets, load the pockets for tomorrow. We'll see you at 8 o'clock when we kick things off again, live from the Gulfstream paddock on Fountain of Youth Day at 8 a.m. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.